for us to do. So, you know, until we're able to raise some funds to do that, we're likely not going to do that. Although we would love to paint a mural there.
Right.
Yeah,
And I only asked the question in the context of thinking about your effort to really create art underneath this tunnel space so that someone doesn't go to the other wall and think, I'll graffiti over here. But I think it's a really interesting piece. I'm really curious to see what happens with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jefferson. Commissioner Ho, do you have any questions or comments?
No question. I do see the hand though, so thank you.
Commissioner Gallardo, do you have any questions?
We're being asked to vote on conceptual, is that right?
Conceptual and final.
So my first thought was this, I'd like to see a more fully rendered image because I would not be able to vote on final here. Thank you for the interpretation. That was helpful because when I reviewed the image, didn't really know what was going on. And those are my only comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Gallardo. I'll make a quick comment. My graduate school is right next to the bridge, so I take this underpass quite a lot. I'm not in graduate school right now, but SARC is right next to it. So I know this underpass well, and I think this piece is going to be really stunning. And it's also connecting, you know, both sides of the art district, which is great. Yeah, I guess my only question would be, I mean, based on the other works that you've shown, yeah, is the final colors. That's the only, my only question. I mean, has he come up with, does he know what the other colors are going to be, or is there a reason?
The palette will be very similar to the other examples that Ivani showed.
Okay.
It'll have a dark background, and you can see that the piece is very vibrant and very colorful.
So it's basically going to be blues and greens. And
yeah, it'll be just
similar.
like this. This is very typical of the artist's work, as well as the iconography involved.
Thank you. Okay, well, I have a pretty good sense of, I think, what the final palette will look like, but is there a motion to approve conceptual and final, or
before we do this, I
Yeah.
just raised my hand. I mean, to be honest, I kind of agree with Commissioner Gallardo. I'm really excited about approving it for concept, but we generally tend to want the artist to come to us with what it is that they're going to put up so that we know what it is that we're approving. No matter how great they are, we did this to another artist of great renown. So if we're going to be consistent, we probably can only approve this in concept and have the final version of what it's going to be presented to us for final approval.
And I just wanted to apologize and say that, you know, the artist did want to be here today, but he is Austrian, so he's back in Austria right now.
It's not because he's not here. That has nothing to do with it. We did this to another artist who gave us a concept of what they conceptually were thinking, but we didn't have final, and we're being asked to approve final without ever having seen the artwork. And so if we're going to be consistent, we need to do that. I also envision that once he adds his color approach and other things to it, you'll be able to better figure out what it was that he was trying to say. Because even when I first looked at it, I went, what's it doing? And your explanation allowed me not to stay with it thinking it was doing something negative, but in fact was trying to say something positive. And I'm sure that'll come out in the coloring, etc. So I'm not commenting on the work. It's just a consistency of our approach.
Understood.
And I also agree with Commissioner Jefferson and Commissioner Gallardo. Commissioner, oh, okay, great. So maybe then we'll say that
I just had one quick question. In the examples that you showed us, can you bring those back up? The background on the R&R machine shop, is that Vial 1?
Yes, that was a collaboration with Vile.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
So
Good eye.
yeah, good eye. I actually have to say the one other comment I was going to make is I sort of like that part of this is very sketchy and not everything is completely painted in. So, but just for your knowledge, we usually need to see sort of the final colors. So I'm going to propose to the fellow commissioners that for the awakening, that is there a motion just to approve conceptual only? Final will be later based on the colors selected.
Or whatever he deems the final rendering to be,
Right, correct.
including if it's in sketchy black and white.
Mm-hmm.
So I move to approve for conceptual. I move for conceptual approval with the note that we are looking forward to having the artist or their representatives return with a more fully rendered image.
Great. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Jefferson. So we'll do a quick roll call vote. Commissioner Ho, how do you vote?
Yes, on conceptual.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallardo,
Yes.
and Commissioner Scarfano also vote yes for conceptual only. And thank you. Project's going to be very exciting to see it develop.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yep. Okay, so the next item is an architectural submission, and it's for the Slauson Connect Recreational Center on Normandy Boulevard. The architect is Paul Murdoch. And this is for conceptual approval, not conceptual and final, just conceptual. Is that correct?
Right, it's just for conceptual approval.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tammy. So I think I saw Paul Murdoch on the
Yes,
Zoom.
I'm here.
Thank you,
Hello.
Paul. Do you want to, if you could give us a,
Commission
brief
President,
presentation.
sorry
Go
to
ahead.
jump in. Let's have Tammy start off the item, and I think we may have a member of the council office here as well.
Perfect. Okay, hang on, Paul. We'll have you start soon. Tammy, would you like to introduce the project?
Sure, I think the council district representative should speak first, and I will speak after them.
Hello, my name is Sherilyn Correa. I'm the Director of Planning and Economic Development for Councilmember Kern Price. He's really excited about this project. It's been a project that he's been working on for the last 4 years. It was an opportunity that he identified with our collaboration with LA Metro. They're building out a bike path, a green belt. It's a 5.6 mile stretch that connects various communities throughout South Los Angeles. And they had no intentions on building out this particular site until the council member had the idea of making a park and community center here. So from that idea, we've merged into what's now being called the Slauson Connect, which is going to be largely focused on youth development. And we want to make sure that the space is a high-tech facility that allows for the youth to have access to all the resources that will help them to be successful in their future careers. So we've partnered with our Bureau of Engineering, who's our project manager, and selected Paul Murdoch and Associates to help with the design component. So we're very excited about this project and breaking ground very soon. So with that, I'll hand it over to Ohaji or Tammy to continue.
Okay, good afternoon, commissioners. So the goal of the Slauson Connect Recreation Center is to increase recreational open space, youth development classrooms, and childcare opportunities in underserved South LA. This net zero landmark building will serve to revitalize the Slauson corridor, and Ohaji from the Bureau of Engineering is here to speak on this project.
Thank you all, and good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Ohaji Abdullah. I'm with the Bureau of Engineering, Architectural Division, and Architect and Project Manager. So Tammy just stole all my glory by talking about the many exciting projects. And thank you to CD9 for having the vision to see this project occur in this site, a formerly blighted site, which was an easement for the railroad that ran up and down Slauson. The project is funded by a variety of funding sources, notably also the CD9 discretionary funds, Proposition K, Kids for LA funds, CDBG, Community Development Block Grant funds, and the like. The current construction budget, due to this increased construction environment, is roughly $17 million. And as previously noted, this offers us a rare opportunity to combine two municipal entities' efforts to really provide a transformative project in this area. The Council Office and Bureau of Engineering and Paul Murdoch Architects have worked and had several community meetings, 3 to date, and we have 2 more to go in order to make sure that we're capturing all of the community's input and integrating that into the project at every point possible. The project will add digital education, childcare, and open green space to this currently empty section of Slauson Boulevard in South Los Angeles. Thanks again, and I'd like to introduce Paul Murdoch Architects, our lead architect on the job.
Thanks, Ohaji. If I could share our screen, then I'll have some things to show you. Yeah, I think I need permission to share this, which I don't have right now.
Mr. Murdoch, you have
Great.
access.
There we go. Thank you. Okay. As has been mentioned, the Slauson corridor is now, one of the things happening is this rail to river bike path, which is an active transportation corridor that LA Metro is developing that will connect Line K and Hyde Park to the west with Line A, which used to be known as the Blue Line, to the east, and then that will extend further with a different project to LA River. So this is really starting to transform the Slauson corridor, and this is the site right here, which is roughly in the middle zone of this 5 to 7 mile eventually corridor. So it not only is along this route, but it also is a potential rest stop along the way for people using the rail to river bike path. This is the site bound by Normandy to the west, Budlong to the east, and Slauson to the south. There are properties to the north, which include some vacant buildings, as well as some light industrial and manufacturing. You can see the nature of this site is very long and very narrow. It's 1,250 feet long and 81 feet deep. This view here gives you, I think, maybe the best idea of how long and narrow it is. This is Slauson to the right here, and those adjacent properties behind. So the idea, this is about, roughly 2.3 acres. And some of the photographs surrounding the site, the buildings behind, across the street, some of the artwork along 58th Street, which is just behind, and a residential area to the east near Budlong. So here is Slauson in the front, and here is the site. The site is comprised of the Metro Bikeway, which is between Slauson and our site, the Slauson Connect site. As I mentioned, this is about 80 feet deep. Metro has the first 30 feet, and we have the next 50 feet. Metro has been great to work with here. Originally, this was 40-40, and they were agreeable to giving another 10 feet to the Slauson site, which makes things like parking feasible. The way this is subdivided is there's an entry from Normandy and an exit on Normandy into a parking area with 22 stalls. There's a canopy planned for PV solar arrays. And then this will also double for community events like a small farmers market or stalls and that kind of thing. This is the portion of the building that will have a raised multi-purpose classroom on a 3rd floor and what we call an urban porch below it. That's the main entrance to the building from both the parking as well as from the sidewalk. And then next to it will be the classrooms and a roof garden, which I'll talk about a little bit. There's a playground here for just to the east of the building for the children's classrooms downstairs. Then there's a discovery garden with some picnic seating and some other seating for outdoor classrooms. And then there's a mounded open lawn area or two, a public restroom down here, and then integrating the so-called mixing zones that Metro has at each corner, which allow for pedestrians and bicycles to mix before crossing the intersection. So we've tried to integrate what Metro is doing with what we're doing in terms of this park. Just briefly, this is the ground floor. This is that covered area, which I call the urban porch. It will have some stair seating as well as stairs up to the 2nd floor, some bike parking. There'll be an entrance into the child care, which is on the ground floor here. There's two classrooms that can be subdivided, each with 20 children. An entrance from the sidewalk, a small outdoor play area for each classroom, as well as the outdoor playground off to the edge of the building. Above that are recreation classroom and an after-school classroom. As Ohaji mentioned, there'll be lots of different uses. They're meant to be flexible for anything from remedial classes to arts, including music, media arts, visual arts, etc. So outdoor area as well, and stairs that lead out from this floor. On top of that is a multi-purpose classroom. This is the largest space, and it has a sliding wall that opens to both a balcony that faces west as well as opens to this roof garden, which is nearly 5,000 square feet. It is also meant to offer space for a lot of different type of outdoor activities. We'll have Evan and MIG talk about the planting here later, but we will have some trellis space with plants growing from the planting over, offering shade. And then on the roof of this, we'll have some mechanical and some additional photovoltaics that LADWP is potentially interested in using. This is an aerial view of the same. We have a a color palette that includes white panels, as well as a sort of warm gold to brown tone mesh, which will help shield south-facing glass. We're also introducing it into the trellises and the guardrails of the roof garden. So there's sort of a veil or screening that allows some shading and some visibility at the same time. You'll see here that we have planted green screen in the front. There is a planter in front of the building along the sidewalk. This is the bike path here next to a median. And then the sidewalk is next to the building. Again, we were able to flip that from what originally Metro had so that our sidewalk is right next to the building. This is a view of that entry porch. This is the bike path here with the median, the sidewalk. There's an entrance, a large sliding gate and door here to allow this screen fencing to be open, or to allow the facility to close it when they want to keep it separate from the sidewalk. There's a sliding gate at the other end of this parking lot to also close the western end of this. This is the seating stair that leads up to the second floor classrooms. And then this is the entrance into the ground floor classrooms. This is that multi-purpose classroom at the third floor with that balcony overlook. And then this screen over the southern glass. These views show you the type of mesh that we have in mind. At night, this acts as a nice veil, and we would anticipate, activities going on up here during the evening. This wall is part of the entry court. We would love to see as a mural opportunity to help animate this entry space and celebrate the entrance. One of the reasons we've kept the palette more neutral is to allow for some robust art to help animate the building. Whether it is an ongoing program in coordination with the youth development of the facility, or permanent pieces as part of the cultural affairs program. This is a view from the other end of the building. The playground's off to the right. This is that green planted screen. To the right, you can see an example of that with some fairly robust planting over time. But the idea here is to give a green edge to help buffer any kind of graffiti activity against these walls. And then we have some openings from the children's classrooms through those to help animate that wall as well. As you may have read in our description, there's a plan of having this classroom portion of the building be in prefabricated building modules to lower costs, accelerate construction schedule, and also due to the limited construction staging area on the site to allow those to come in and alleviate the space problems. And then where the multi-purpose classroom is, that would be a site-built, more conventionally built portion of the building. Demar Matthews is on our team, and he's going to talk a bit about an idea here that we have potentially for some of the mesh area of the building itself. Demar?
Yes. Hey, everyone. So yeah, we put together basically a map of South LA, but specifically CD9, which will kind of allow for the building to speak to the existing communities and the youth in a place that allows or is trying to allow kids a safe space to grow and develop. So aesthetically, we want the map to speak to the existing cultures here in South LA. And we think that could maybe also be used to kind of add to the local businesses. So if we can use some established aesthetics for the comfort of community members, we know that every time a new project comes to a Black or brown area in South LA, a lot of us are worried that we're getting displaced or gentrified. So I think if the building looks and feels familiar, and we see things that relate to us culturally, or everyone sees things that relate to them culturally, that the map can kind of do that thing for us. So we would be looking at highlighting specific landmarks in South LA. That can be pretty interactive with how we go about doing that. I work with 2 local historians who are pretty young, both born and raised right in that council district, who have given me a bunch of businesses and stories about local businesses that started in that area. We could use legends, icons, logos as a way to allow people who are exploring this place for the first time to also allow them to stay in CD9 and go after they leave this place, maybe go and visit a place that they saw featured on that map graphic. So we could also kind of launch a Instagram campaign to get more people who may not be able to go to these meetings or be a stakeholder to also still have their voices heard in terms of the things that are included on this map and the history that we can maybe tell through that map. Let's see, and in terms of the graphic style that we have in mind, we're just looking at giving a nod to important stories over history that have happened in this area. So if we kind of can find a happy balance between existing businesses that have from old to new, and also just cool, interesting, important stories that need to be illustrated, I think we can use the map to be able to do that. And there's options with how we, depending on where we place it, if it's on the ground graphics or on the stairs, let's say on the pavement in some way, we can use a sandblasted concrete. We can use aluminum, steel, or brass to kind of laser cut for railing systems like the image you see here. Or it can always be on a digitally printed mesh, like Paul was showing examples of earlier.
Thanks. We would probably recommend a similar technique for the building identification signage, which we propose on the main screen here at the building. This can be painted right onto the mesh and integrated. And then also we propose a sort of site identification sign near the entrance to the parking area and off of the Metro mixing zone at the Slauson Normandy corner, and that those materials and graphics would relate to the building identification sign as well. And Evan from MIG will talk about the landscaping and the park elements.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Evan Mather. I'm a landscape architect with MIG, and it's a pleasure to be here this afternoon to talk about this very exciting project. As Paul mentioned earlier, the layout of the site parallels the Metro bike path. It's flanked by the 2 Metro mixing plazas, one at Normandy and one at Budlong. One of the challenges for this project was being able to accommodate all of the different spaces and activities that were requested by the community in such a narrow swath. So we think of this as a really a linear park with spaces at a premium. So we weren't wasting any space along here. But I just want to call out a few specific items, just moving from west to east. But there's the parking for the rec center. with an entry plaza going into the rec center. On the east side of the building, you can see we have the childcare and outdoor play area, and that is connected to the rec center. Just outside is where the park begins. So this is the open space, the community area with the discovery garden. There's an area for community picnic tables with a shade canopy, the lawn area. There's a prefabricated restroom building. And then there's a multi-purpose plaza with a basketball hoop. And what ties this all together is this educational trail. You can see it kind of winding through the project. And this is, a place that's distinct from the metro pedestrian path, but it's a place integrated within the park that would have educational signage, interpretive signage, perhaps some special pavement graphics that would tie the fabric of the whole park all together. In terms of our plant palette, it's primarily natives. We have coast live oaks, we have red buds, we have sycamores, but we're also using the Chinese elm to be consistent with what's happening along the metro path, which is the same tree, the Chinese elm. And you can see, particularly along the east side of the park, where we're creating this double row, this alley of the Chinese elm. So that'll be a very civic entry to the park, I believe. Then along the back end, in terms of the hedge, we're showing a tristania, like an evergreen tree all along the edge there to help screen along the north. But primarily the plant palette is natives with deer grasses and sedges and sages. Very, of course, low water use. Water is, of course, very important. Water conservation, very important. Paul, if you want to go to the next sheet. This is an enlargement showing more detail of the area. You can see the entry plaza and the parking up above. In enlargement B, I want to point out the roof garden that's with the childcare, the play area. The roof garden, you can see a little, I guess it's an inspirational image of sorts, but our plant palette for the roof garden is primarily colorful succulents. Stuff that's appropriate for a roof garden, requiring that very thin soil media. We also have some colorful yellow trumpet vines that are planned for the green screen trellises and also for the shade trellises up above on the roof area. And you can see a little more detail there of the planned, I'll call it a nature exploration area down below in the park. And then if you want to continue on, there again, you can see that discovery garden, that outdoor classroom with areas for gaming. There's the shade canopy with the picnic tables. We're proposing a habitat garden with bee hotels and bird houses. A lawn area, very flexible space where with some mounds for people to sit and watch what else is happening in the park. You can see the self-cleaning restroom, the plaza with the basketball hoop, and all this is tied together with that interpretive trail, the educational trail with the decorative pavement. The design of that pavement is still to be designed, but that is going to be a very fun element. And with that, that's the landscape design.
Thanks, Evan.
Great.
Just a couple of slides about the lighting. We're trying to integrate the lighting with what Metro is also using along the bike path. So this pole type will be used in areas throughout the Slauson portion as well. The canopy here over the parking for the photovoltaics, the underside would have lighting at the leading edge. And then within the entry porch, we'd have some rail lighting to help illuminate the surfaces there. We would also have some overhead lighting in the underside of the soffit as well. At the roof garden, we would have some low step lights along the edge of the garden. And then back into the park, we'd be using, again, pole lights to create enough illumination for not only walking through the park, but also to give a good feeling of security, visibility. There'd be some additional lighting at the restroom itself. But whether it's a single or a back-to-back pole, it's primarily what we'd be using through the park. And with that, that's our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, and everyone. It was a very beautiful presentation. I'm going to open up the conversation to fellow commissioners. Are there any questions or comments? Commissioner Gallardo, do you have any questions?
I'm going to try to make this quick. First, I mean, this might be a question for our attorney, staff attorney. Are we not under gender, do we have a gender neutral bathroom ordinance that would apply to this project?
I'm actually not sure about that, but that's something that I can look into and get back to the commission on.
Okay, I just saw the gender assigned bathrooms in the materials, but that might have, I don't know if that was a final or not. And then I really love the map idea, Mr. Matthews. I love that idea. I just thought also that another resource of input might be LA Commons, who's currently doing a cultural mapping of South LA and might be helpful in terms of that. I would really love to see that concept on the large mesh covering across the building, as opposed to just on that railing area. But that's a suggestion. I think just sort of keeping that mesh, gold mesh, or however we describe it there on the outside. I don't know, it just reminds me, it feels a little carceral. So, you know, the opportunity to address that, I think, with permanent and or temporary art projects there, but I love the map idea. And then the porch area, if you can go to the slide with the porch image, or what was referred to the porch. That there is the porch on the you're referring to the second floor or the whole thing?
Yeah, I was referring to the porch as the space that's created for the entry down here. But yeah, the balcony is also a type of porch up
Okay.
at the third floor. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And where's the ADA entrance to, you know, as it relates to the porch?
There's an entrance through here to the main lobby. And there's an elevator in the main lobby that connects all 3 levels.
Right. It's such a beautiful, welcoming tool that I wonder if there's a more, you know, integrative visual ADA, you know, incorporating an ADA into that. So that's another comment and recommendation. And then the landscaping, thank you. It's beautiful. Is there any food garden programs that have been discussed there?
Nothing is currently planned in terms of, you know, like lemon trees or orange trees or anything like that. I believe it's possible. Maintenance would be an issue with that.
Yeah, I was thinking more along of like a community garden program.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
May I chime in on that, if you don't mind? So Recreation and Parks has attempted to address, utilize community gardens on other projects in the past. And they try to move away from it because what happens is that the community members who are there and supportive of the project and its maintenance initially often leave. And then the community garden becomes a maintenance liability for Recreation and Parks, as well as dealing with pests, et cetera. We are attempting to incorporate as much sort of interactive elements that we possibly can. And we've received We've received requests to include a bee hotel as well. And so we're looking to make this space as interactive as we possibly can without creating a maintenance liability for any of the parties that who will be utilizing the facility or maintaining the facility.
Thank you for that
Thank you.
information. A great opportunity to partner with an organization that does that work. But I think those were all of my comments. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner Gallardo. Commissioner Ho, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I think it was a very thorough presentation. Thank you so much for proactively sharing with us the information that we are interested in hearing.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Jefferson, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I'll try and make this really brief. First off, I
Yeah.
really want to thank Councilman Price for moving to make this happen. I know this corridor well. It is a very strongly rooted community for African Americans who were born and raised in Los Angeles from the 30s and the 20s and the 10s, et cetera. So this community itself means an enormous amount. I love this project. It reminds me a little bit of the transformation of the High Line in New York a little bit in that approach. And similarly at Varick Street in New York near the tunnel, where you go under the tunnel and the air normally comes up, and they put in just a very small park, and they actually have a piano. They can sit outside in the park, and I've been there when someone just sits and starts to play, and it's just marvelous. So it's an additional way to think about how art can be in this space. I completely agree with Commissioner Gallardo. I love the mesh that you're using. I looked at it and thought, this is a very sterile look for a non-sterile community, and the idea of finding however many ways you can bring color into the look of the building and artwork on the mesh will still serve the same purpose. Whether it's abstract or the map designs or anything else, the notion of color will really bring it out. Otherwise, the boxiness of it, and I don't dislike the boxiness of it, but the boxiness of it would then tend to make it look like it was much more of a detention center, and that's not what you're going for. And I'm assuming that we won't be having grass because nobody can water. And so all the kind of planting things that you guys have been talking about are there. But I cannot tell you how much I love this project, and whether we pick up off of some of the trails that have gone on up in Baldwin Hills and Culver City and some of the other ones, et cetera, it would be great. That mural that you're putting in, what you're calling the porch, and what could also theoretically be something else up on the second floor. What I tend to kind of like about that picture that's there, depending on how much color you put everywhere else, is that it brings the history of the area into view for the people who live there, which I think is extremely, extremely important. And there are a lot of people who have lived there all their lives, who are still in that neighborhood, who have not been gentrified out yet as it's switching, who, if they, as well as the young people, feel a sense of remembrance in their community, that's another opportunity for you to pick some of that up. But I'm excited. I cannot wait to continue to see what's going to go on with this project. And I thank you very much for the care you've given to the design of it.
Yep. Thank you, Commissioner Jefferson. I also agree with my fellow commissioners. I think the project is absolutely beautiful. I think it's it's really tough with a long linear site like that to actually create magic. And I think you guys have done that. And I do know this metal mesh product, and I don't think it takes the graphics really well. And I actually like the fact that the metal mesh is left alone, because you will see figures behind the mesh. But I love that that's a pause, and then they're activating, some of the railings and some of the other parts of the site with the super graphics. I I mean, Paul, congratulations. And I think you and your team, everybody's done a fabulous job. So I think we're all very excited to see the next steps.
Can I ask a question then?
Mhm.
I'm hearing you, but I'm just wondering whether or not the mesh itself can be ordered so that it comes in color, so that even if you paneled it in such a way that you put some color across, I'm not talking about it has to say anything, then it just wouldn't look so metal.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
would be
Paul.
great in some communities. There's a reason why we don't want to put it in this community.
No, I understand. And it's something that Ohaji knows. We've had some very colorful schemes. And so we're trying to find the right balance between allowing, artwork, ongoing artwork, lots of animation through the activity of the building versus, not getting too sterile with this thing. But let me go back to this slide, because I think that this slide up here shows a stainless steel mesh that's been painted. So you can see that you can still keep that translucent quality and make it more colorful, right? In this case, it's the silver stainless steel instead of, a gold tone. On the lower image, the mesh has actually been painted white, and then this pattern has been digitally printed on top of it. That's still a fairly translucent screen. You can't see it because of the photo. You can see a little bit on the lower right what's behind it. But I think what it shows is that there is a fair amount of flexibility besides something that's just metallic to something that can be combined metallic and painted, or something that can be entirely painted and still have a very screen-like quality.
Yeah,
So
I
Paul-
really like the lower image. Sorry, I just wanted to comment. At least in concept, because we did see something similar with this type of material for the LAX design as a proposal for an art mural or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a mural, but I think there's so many buildings, not so many, but there's similar feeling, the similar feel in a lot of buildings in our communities that aren't, may deter youth, right, from coming in. So whatever we can do on the exterior to encourage inclusion, belonging, I think that's important there.
Great. Well, Paul, will you be showing us more options of that and your team in the final?
It sounds like we will.
Okay. But I mean, I think what we're talking about here too is conceptual approval. So
Yeah.
in an effort of time, because we still have a lot to go and I don't want to cut anybody off, but
We love the project.
the project's amazing. Yeah.
So I'll give you a motion to approve conceptual.
Okay, great. Thank you, Commissioner Jefferson. Or is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Gallardo. We'll do a quick roll call vote. Commissioner Ho,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallardo,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
and I also, Commissioner Scarfano, vote yes. Thank you. This is a wonderful presentation. So
Thank you all. This
Yep.
is going to be exciting.
okay, so our next, we have the next item, which I think, wait, I think I have something out of. These are AGFs, is that correct? I think I have a, so we can take all of these on consent. Is this
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
Okay,
The next
so
12 AGFs, they are a pole and a cabinet, which is the same in all of the 12 projects. Caitlin, are you here?
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, can you present the presentation First, if you could present LAXAP 5, and then the next presentation, which shows each single location of the projects.
Yes, and Caitlin, if you can do this relatively quickly, I have a hard stop at 3:15 and then we won't have quorum.
I sure can. I'm just looking
you.
for LAXAP 5. I have that combined file that you sent, Tammy. Is LAXAP 5 on here?
Yes, it is, but you can present any other projects just so the commissioners can understand the project, and then the combined one, which will show each AGF in its location.
Okay, so hi, I'm Caitlin Parson. I'm with Motive Energy. I'm representing AT&T. We're proposing these 12 AGF small wireless facilities. Trying to figure out how to share my screen here. There are 31-foot poles. They're slimline, I'm sorry. This is the LAXAP 5 that she was talking about. So this is what it looks like existing. And this is the pole that we're proposing. They all have the same design, the pole and then the meter pedestal over here. I mean, they all have the same equipment. It's the same design for each one.
Thank you, Caitlin. So, so all of these locations, location B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, and M are all the same pole, but in different areas of the city, correct? Okay. All right. I will ask my fellow commissioners if they have any questions or comments. Commissioner Jefferson, do you have any questions?
I'm just waiting for somebody to flash up each of the locations so that we'll know whether or not we have any problem with the location. Otherwise, this is what we've been dreaming of.
Okay, so you want to go over each location?
Just show it to us.
Yeah, just show us 2 seconds. Right.
Okay. Okay, this is on 6th Street. Or I mean, I can just go through and show you. This is what the design we're proposing on 6th Street. This is detail 128. This is what we're proposing also on 6th Street. This is on South Broadway. This is the pole we're proposing, meter pedestal, detail 161. 194, detail 197, 265, 267, and 268. That's the last one. 270 and 271. LAXAP 5. That's all of them.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Jefferson. Do we have a second?
Sorry, I have a question. The ones in front of buildings, are some of them I saw in front of windows. What is that? Are they residential? Are they commercial?
They're commercial.
Spaces? Commercial. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Gallardo. Okay, we'll do a quick roll call vote. Commissioner Ho, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Gallardo?
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson?
Yes.
And I, Commissioner Scrofano, vote yes. So items B through M have been approved. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you so much.
And Tammy.
And can I just make the record reflect that the reason I asked for the photos is that we always are going to be looking at where someone's putting one up. We should never say yes to something and we're not seeing the same thing consistently.
Good point. So our next item is street lighting submission. I'm under the assumption that all of these are matching street lights, and we can take all of these. Again, we'll look at the location on consent. So that's item A, B, C, D. I think it's only up to D, right, Tammy?
That's correct.
Okay, great. So can you, Tammy, show us the street light and the locations and they're in our packet, correct? There's street light, which I know you have to pull up on the screen for the public, but it's street light CD 953.
Yes, they are in our packet.
Yeah. Tammy, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Hi, sorry, I'm having an echo. I don't know what's happening. Do you guys hear that echo? Make it stop.
But we can hear you.
Okay, let me so Juan, could you please allow me to share?
You have share rights, Miss
Great,
Sam.
This is BR004597. These are, this is a matching application with one relocation. So this is the key map. This orange digital cone represents the street light, and this is an example of the street light. This one here too, from two different angles. And the last one right here.
Yeah, all of those look like they're not in residential areas, correct?
Right. And let me open up. Do you want to see every single one?
I
No,
don't
we
know.
have
I think we
pictures.
have it. We have
We
it.
have
yeah.
the pictures.
So I think I can ask my fellow commissioners if there are any questions. No for Commissioner Gallardo, Commissioner Jefferson, no questions.
No question.
Commissioner Ho.
No questions.
Okay, great. Do we have a motion to approve the street lighting submission, matching street lights for A, B, C, and D?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Ho.
Second.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner Ho. I'm sorry, who was the first commissioner who said?
Yvonne.
Yvonne, thank you, Yvonne. Sorry. The grid is adjusted in my screen. I didn't see you. Okay, so we'll do a quick roll call vote. Commissioner Jefferson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Ho.
Yes.
Commissioner Gallardo.
Yes.
And I also vote yes. So the streetlight submission has been approved. So that concludes streetlights. So now we go on to our next item, which is nomination and election of officers. This is an action item. Who presents this? Daniel, do you?
Hi, thanks. So at this point, we have both the nomination and election of officers to serve for the coming year. Does anybody have a nomination that they would like to propose?
I move to nominate President Scrifano and Vice President Ho.
And just to clarify, this term will be through June of 2023. So it's a 1-year term.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Gallardo and Commissioner Jefferson. So then we do a roll call vote, correct? So Commissioner Ho, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson, how do you vote?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Gallardo.
Yes, with gratitude.
Thank you. And I also vote yes. So motion is approved. So
We want to thank you. Thank you for your service this year. We appreciate it, and look forward to you continuing your service as we transition to in-person meeting in the coming months. So,
do we need to do a separate elect? We did nomination. Do we need to do a separate elect, or is that all included?
Well, the item was for nomination and elections.
Okay, got it.
So,
so maybe I need to amend my motion because all I said was to nominate. Can we amend the motion to nominate and elect?
Absolutely. I'm looking also at our city attorney just to see if we need to make any further steps.
Let's go ahead and rescind the action and then have Commissioner Gallardo make her motion, and that way it can just be clear what everybody's voting on.
That sounds good. Okay. Who rescinds? I do? I rescind.
The chair. Reconsider. You're just going to reconsider that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the item before us is that we're reconsidering is nomination and election of officers for both the president and the vice president for the next year ending in June 2023.
Okay, sorry.
So just to be clear, why don't we take we can just do kind of we don't have to do a roll call vote on that motion to reconsider, but go ahead and take a vote.
Okay, so
all in favor.
All in favor. Okay, so
I move
of the reconsideration. Yes.
Yeah, I'm moving to nominate and elect President Scrofano and Vice President Ho to President and Vice President.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Jefferson. So we don't have to do a roll call vote, or do we?
Just all in favor, right?
For this one, let's do a roll call vote.
Okay. So Commissioner Ho, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson.
Yes.
Commissioner Gallardo.
Yes.
And I also vote yes, Commissioner Scrofano. So motion is approved.
Commissioner Ho had one more time to say and she didn't. Thank you.
She didn't.
Well, thank you all. And to our city attorney, do we need to actually take the vote on rescinding the previous motion? Or did that, since it moved forward, we did?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
We're fine, yeah.
Well, congratulations again, and looking forward to your leadership in the coming year.
Hey, thank you all for voting for us. So I think the next item, Daniel, is the general manager report.
Great. Well, let me just let you know real quick. We are continuing to move forward on our reconstitution and our hiring. We're continuing to make progress. We're bringing on, we have some new folks in our art centers and in our grants program. And on our reconstitution, we've been doing programming outdoors with the intermittent program at about half of our centers. And we're looking forward to getting folks back in the doors, looking at that for the summer. And just wanted to highlight a few quick items also, just so that you're aware. We recently launched the LGBT Heritage Month calendar and cultural guide. We are very excited about it. It honors the extraordinary range of LGBT plus experiences and cultural traditions that we have across Los Angeles. So hope that you're able to take a look at that and participate in any of the events that you may find. Additionally, just also wanted to let you know, we're very excited. This weekend, we have our culmination for the Sony Media Pictures Arts Program, which is a collaboration with DCA and Cal Arts it's the 25th anniversary. It provides middle school students ages 10 to 14 with a 30-week session of classes that covers instructions and lessons on drawing, painting, animation, and media arts. So that culmination is happening on Saturday at 1 p.m. Lastly, just wanted to share just a few quick events. We have arts activation program events that are happening. We have one that's happening on June 18th. It's the Sounds of Goodness Festival at Norman Houston Park. And then we have a few that are happening in July, the South Central Community Resiliency Pop-Up and the Rock the Block as well. And then the Leimert Park Jazz Festival is happening in August. So we'll circulate all that information over email so you have it. And thank you, as always, to you all as commissioners for your attendance and your participation, and to our staff for continuing to help streamline our process. Thank you.
Great. And thank you, Daniel, also too, for sending out the dates for those events. That was super helpful.
Absolutely.
And for leading us through, during this transition time. And, you're doing a great job. So is the staff. So
thank you.
I went to the South Central Arts event at the William Grant Still Arts Center, and it was such a beautiful convergence of community-based arts artists that came from that tradition, including Ulysses Jenkins, who has or had his exhibition at the Hammer. So it was just really very uplifting to be a part of something that values our community-based arts organizations. Beautiful, just a beautiful event overall.
Thank you for sharing that. We're so happy that you're able to attend. It was a great event, and we're deeply appreciative of the work that Ami Modavali and our William Grant Still Arts Center is doing as well.
I just want to let the record reflect that as a commission, we share and send our sympathies to the family of Samela Lewis, but as an extraordinary art founder in Los Angeles, both of the Museum of African American Art over in the Macy's building and several other art centers and several other artists, and on and on and on and on, that she gave a great deal to this city and to the country. And so I just want to, especially on the early ideas of building diversity, equity, inclusion, and access. So just wanted to give a shout out to Samela, to Dr. Samela Lewis, forgive me.
are there any other announcements that we have, or should I move on to the next item? So our next commission meeting is July 13th, and the next commission meeting submission deadlines is June 15th. So on that note, we finished the meeting before 3:15. So thank you all. Thank everybody for being so patient. And Tammy, I also wanted to say hats off to you, because the presentations and Yami and everyone, they're really great.
Yeah.
It's really, makes our work a lot easier. Thank you.
Yeah.
So on that note, can I hit the gavel and say meeting adjourned? Meeting
Hit
adjourned.
the gavel.
Now I got to go down to the summits. I probably, hopefully make it in.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
And thanks
you.
to the team.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, staff. We appreciate you.
You guys are doing great.
Thanks. Take care, everybody.
Yep. Bye.